Ominous trends in productivity and why you should care. Will AI save us? Hello, this is Chart GPT today. I'm going to take a look at productivity. Now, it sounds like a bizarre economic indicator, but you might care once we get into the details. If you care about your standard of living, etc., etc. Let's take a look at what actual productivity is. It's basically output divided by input. It's the ratio of output over the input. That's more output relative to the input, the more productivity increases. The more increasing in productivity, then that means people can enjoy a higher standard of living. In the year 1900, 50% of us were working on farms and we were just working to have food. Now that's down to 2 or 3%, and that's productivity, so they increase our ability to produce other products that we all enjoy, not just food. So you can see that productivity is very important to you, because it basically decides how your living standard is going to be. So it's a fundamental indicator there. So let's take a look at where we're at here. Here's one from the Fed, productivity. Kind of a line that maybe doesn't mean anything, but let's put some meaning behind this line. First, I kind of divided it into 10-year periods, and you can see that in the early 1960s, we had a high productivity rate coming out of World War II and some of that era. And then it kind of hit a stall period from 1970s into the early 80s. Of course, we had a lot of recessions then, et cetera, et cetera. Inflation was rampant at that time. And then we had some pretty good period there in the 90s, in the early 2000s, up around the 7-6% increases over those 10-year periods. And now we're starting to fall back a little bit after the great recessions of 2008 and even until today. So why? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. We'll go into that, but many people feel those are recessionary periods tend to affect productivity, i.e. standard of livings, inflationary periods, and higher regulatory periods, which disables business, so to speak. Take a look at some McKinsey charts here. U.S. labor productivity is running well below its long-term average. There you can see the dotted line there in terms of annual averages. We've been running quite low. And you can kind of see the same chart here. We had good output coming out of World War II. Then they had the rough period down into the 70s and early 80s, and then it kind of climbed back up during the tech revolution there in the 90s, early 2000. Coming back a little bit here, but for the most part, it's been below average, so it's quite concerning. Taking a look at on a global basis here, this again from McKinsey, you can see who's doing the best here. China, India has some of the highest labor productivities, Eastern Europe, and some of the advanced Asian countries. You go down the list there, North America still doing okay, but below the global average of 2.3. Middle East, Africa, and Western Europe, and Latin American, Caribbean are doing the worst. And you can see that in their standard of livings. The standard of livings in North America has been stalling. Eastern Europe and China has been growing. However, that's just kind of a snapshot here from 1997 to 2022. Let's take a look at the trends. The trends is the United States was a leader in the early 1900s and did very well up until the 1960s, 1970s. A little bit of a spurt through the IT revolution there. You can see a little hump there around the year 1990 to 2000. These charts kind of similar if you actually look at them from a distance. The big story there is in that aqua line there of China, who has exploded with it, and of course their standard of living have risen dramatically because of that. Again, you can see that phenomenon. However, that being said, China is starting to roll over, and it's rolling rather sharply. No other leader is coming forward. So what this kind of means, and it's ominous, is that standard of livings across the globe are going to begin to fall. And they are falling, and I think that's one thing we see about the economic situation, even in America and Western Europe, which is kind of the Western alliance with, and basically driving what's going on in the world. They're in decline. And you can see that in the productivity growth, as well as their standard of livings are going to be declining. What's going to save us? Well, generally innovation is one of the big things in terms of productivity improvements. Work smarter, not harder. So this is the thing that people are looking at. What is going to be the next big thing to save us from this decline in productivity and standard of living? Will it be AI? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So we'll have to look at the future. In any case, take a look at what the AI says about productivity measurements and how it's important to you in terms of the economy, what goes into that, et cetera, et cetera. And answer our online poll. Will AI contribute to increases in our standard of living for the future, or will we go into that ominous steady decline? Now, don't forget to subscribe.